Meanwhile, for FG, that Night Stalker pick looking pretty good to maybe deal with some of the issues you were just talking about. The Night Stalker already kind of mobile. We'll see if he goes for something along the lines of the Blink Dagger as well, and top that all off with the IO to maybe just relocate him directly in, and that AoE silence could come into play, take away a lot of that utility and defensive strength from some of those heroes.
Okay.
Oh, a Hoodwink
It's an
as well.
interesting pick. Interesting pick. If it is going to be a safe lane tiny, I can definitely see why they would look for a hero like the Hoodwinked, as well as giving you, again, in the previous patch, it mattered a little bit more, but that supplemental damage coming from your 4 heroes, where you needed someone who could randomly do 800 magic burst to finish off a lot of these kills. There isn't a lot of setup on FG's side, though. Again, it really is all coming from Sooths, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult of a Hoodwink game. Of course, Hoodwink is a very, very strong laner. It's a big reason why they're pairing it with the Night Stalker, I think. So that way during the daytime, you have some sort of counterplay, but still it's a little bit scary. And there's your stopper. There's the Ogre that's now going to try and beat you up in lane. Okay. I really don't like the Hoodwink pick too much, but I definitely see what they're going for here. They're just trying to get a setup, another pick-off hero, where you're going to sit them in a side lane, you're going to look for a bushwhack, and then suddenly you're going to get zipped and relocated on, and there are 4 heroes in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it's in theory something that could work out for them, but as you said, the Hoodwink doesn't feel like it's got a lot of fantastic synergy, but we'll just have to see how aggressively FG play, because if they can roll it all together, you're still going to have a fair bit of damage to sort of commit against 4 Zoomers. So the execution and the timing is going to be big for them, but we'll see what they can do. Meanwhile, for 4 Zoomers, yeah, the Ogre coming out for them, just giving them not necessarily a tanky lineup maybe in the conventional sense, but they're not really going to get bullied out of too many of these lanes early.
Yeah, and this is where Husky, he always likes to go for a hero like this. He's very similar to Gardic, where he loves to play the position 5 tanky bruiser melee hero, and I don't think you can pick Undying in this game. I don't think you could go for the Treant Protector because you're playing versus Night Stalker, so Ogre, it doesn't feel the best, I think, as a hero right now. It is just a hero that you sit in a lane and you try to secure as much as possible for your teammates, but it is a hero that is going to do that very well, especially versus Night Stalker Hoodwink, which really can't get aggressive at all on this Ogre matchup. He's just a little bit too tanky, I think, as well as Ignite being one of the most obnoxious spells for the Hoodwink to deal with. You're just always going to get caught up to in those trees, and you don't really get to play your hero at that same level.
Yeah, it's just going to be tough for FG to potentially deal with. We'll see whether or not that's the case. In the meantime, though, final phase of bans coming through on both sides. Well, I was going to say looking towards the carry position, FG or maybe either thinking the Ember could play the position 1 role or splitting the bans here, but Dusa and Ember banned out for them. For Zoomers, meanwhile, started with the Jug ban, and to be honest, it's just sort of business as usual for them. They went all throughout Phase 2, banning out some of those potential position 1 carries, so they've already narrowed that pool down quite a bit.
Yeah, and this is where it is very obvious that both these sides are missing their Mandy hero and their Envy hero. I think that they split the bans on FG side because in the back of their minds, they are saying, is this going to be a Gunner Tiny? We think it's going to be a Gunner Tiny. Does Eternal Envy play Tiny? Well, we might as well save the bans anyway. If they go for this Ember Spirit, that's even more flexibility for them. And I thought they were going to go for it when they banned the Ember Spirit. Mandy's played this Tiny or rather the Sniper quite a lot, and it is usually picked up when you see your carry matchup already, but they think with all of the bans out of the pool, they're going to be able to confidently play this, and I wholeheartedly agree. I really like what they have, especially the synergy coming from the Night Stalker, where as soon as that Dark Ascension hits, you are going to see everyone. Your positioning is going to be so simple for you, and unless you're going to see this Earthshaker actually making those moves towards the Sniper, he has free reign to sit there and peep everyone. That's something that for Zoomers, while they have in a traditional sense, it is going to be very difficult to find a lot of these blink initiations, and something that heroes like the Night Stalker and the Monkey King are so adept of doing. They're so good at spoiling plays where Mandy could definitely snowball this game. And I think that's where we see for Zoomers using a little bit of time here, because Envy's saying, what do I want to play versus the Sniper now? I think maybe they go for a hero like the Weaver possibly, but then you're playing Weaver versus a natural silence, a silence that you have to get BKB for. It feels like now for Zoomers are going to have a really troubling time slotting Envy onto anything he's going to play into this Sniper matchup.
Yeah, I mean,
Spectre, maybe?
you could, yeah, you
It's
could go for
hard.
broke with the Spectre or the Faceless, but Instead, they pick up the Troll Warlord, so maybe a bit of a half measure there. Still plenty of damage, you've got a little bit of lockdown with the RNG, but maybe most importantly, a hero that has some of that durability baked in, so if you do need to get onto those targets, you have an easier time sort of maybe hitting your mark and not getting pulled away, but that's... I called it a half measure for a reason, ET. It feels okay, but maybe not great.
Yeah, and it still doesn't solve the problem that we saw all the way back in phase one, where I don't think Four Zoomers ever really got the perfect countermeasure versus this IO. So now pairing it up with the sniper is going to be even more difficult for them to deal with. I think that in this troll, the one thing that Troll is always very capable of doing is getting objectives in a very clean fashion. You kill two heroes and then you get a tower. You kill an entire team and then you suddenly get Roche. You can always have those options available to you, but in a straight one-on-one fight, unless there are outside factors, Mandy has a free fight versus this Troll Warlord. The Troll has an incredibly difficult time actually getting on top of the sniper here, and that's where maybe when FG are on the offensive, it's going to be easier for Four Zoomers to make play, but when Four Zoomers are playing into FG, I feel like those team fights are going to be incredibly difficult for them. I just feel like in this style of game, FG are going to have quite a lot of time to get their items, while Four Zoomers are always going to be looking for the engagement. And if they whiff, they are stuck in there. Shaker and Tiny are hard punished by the shrapnels coming down. You were just stuck and most likely going to die.
Yeah,
Oop.
it's... Oh, okay. Well, it is very much a sort of home run swing kind of scenario, as you mentioned. You go for it, you are in. There's no backing out. So we might see maybe some more cautious or judicious, shall we say, allocation of resources there in terms of those fights. So we'll see how things go down on that front. In the meantime, though, we do have a bit of a pause here. It appears Suits, he's currently DC'd, so we are going to be waiting for them. Meanwhile, I do want to point out, just because, well, we might as well sort of mention it. These two teams have been already given a warning about some of the all-chatting, some of the BM pauses that we saw between them the last time they played up in the group stage. The admin is having none of it so far today. So the teams have been warned. Your guess is as good as mine if that warning will actually matter for anything in terms of these teams actually taking heed of that warning, because, well, I mentioned at the beginning it's a spicy matchup. These two teams do love to talk, and they specifically love to talk to each other. So we hope it doesn't happen, but it's something that we're going to keep an eye on. For now, though, still waiting. Seuss did attempt to get back in, but unfortunately dropped right back out.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate. I think Sooths has the most difficult time loading into a lot of these US East lobbies, but it is a unfortunate situation. It's why we saw I Annihilate standing in form the one series, but hopefully once he's in, his team plays at full power whenever he's able to make his plays. As good as Annihilate Storm Spirit is, it does feel like they definitely play towards Sooth's Storm Spirit and no other man's March. So looks like he's good, and we're ready to get started.
All right. Well, took a couple of attempts, but we're back in and we're ready to go. So, game one of this first best of three of the playoffs. And as a reminder, folks, this is the lower bracket that we're starting in, so this is an elimination series right off the top. So one of these two teams, unfortunately, despite it being this early, one of these two teams has got to go. So we'll see who advances. Their opponent yet to be determined. That'll depend on the upper bracket matches tomorrow, but just living to see that next day in this tournament, obviously the most important factor right now, as you see a bit of a maneuver across there. Moo does have his smoke. Actually, I'm not sure if that popped or if it just timed out, but either way, he was able to get himself across, and there's no vision on this side, but I'm not sure now if either team really knows that for certain at this point.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit too sneaky. Gunner went for the safe mid lane ward as well, so he's not going to get it punished for it, I don't think. But you still got to be really careful in this early engagement. But that's where Sexy Fat on the Night Stalker can also scout any of these plays if he wants to. I think he's just cutting trees right now, trying to make it easier for his Hoodwink to stack. But if he wanted to, he would just stand right here and then look all the way across the other side and see that there are four Zoomers heroes running out this top rune. So They might actually get away with it on 4 Zoomers with 3.
Heiko's going to take a little bit of damage there. Pushed back. 3 of the runes go 4 Zoomers' way, and look at Husky. Dropping down a little bit of a sentry ward there. Okay, never mind. Heiko... I'm not sure if he saw it or if he just suspected with that little stutter step, but he is quickly able to take that down. So he takes the damage, you can't really protect the rune, but at least he's going to prevent his teammate's side camp from getting blocked up.
Yeah, it's super important for Sooths as well. It's a farm matchup mid. If they're unable to actually farm that small camp, you definitely see one mid laner pulling away while they have to deal with that. But this lane should be exactly what it is. Both mid laners getting their early timings. Sooths is able to get his null treads. Gunner's going to be able to get his brown boots blink dagger. It's really not a lot of pressure unless runes start getting involved.
Yeah, once those power runes come into play, then all sorts of things can change. But for now, it'd be relatively straightforward between the two, unless somebody kind of makes a bit of a mistake. Meanwhile, you see the creep wave being pulled out there by Heiko, so already going to work. Just trying to, well, affect the equilibrium a little bit, and Sexy Fat, even as a level 1 Night Stalker, he should be tanky enough to survive most of this. You see him with a couple of gauntlets there, but gets stunned up under the tower. Now the body blocks from Husky, that's a lot of damage. Not enough to really put the Night Stalker in danger, but well more than he was ever anticipating taking just from that little move underneath the tier 1.
Yeah, and Sexy Fat was doing a good job there. He's trying to put pressure on the troll, making Eternal Envy tank a lot of those creeps under tower. But this is a situation that 4 Zoomers have been in so many times. Somebody tries to get a creep pull going versus them. They have the creep wave behind the tower. They keep everything alive for as long as possible. And they're dealing with it pretty well. But unfortunately, that's where Heiko has been really annoying. He got a half pull off to start. Now he's going to finally kill the wave here behind the tower. In mid,
well,
Sooths. There you go.
I said somebody would have to make a bit of a mistake. I think that may have been it. Gunner just taking advantage there. As the storm, yeah, I think he got tossed back on that play. He dies on his opponent's side of the river. So Gunner draws first blood there in a scenario where really did not anticipate him finding that kind of success. But well, Sooths, just that little bit slower on the reactions, and he does get taken down. Big play there to start for 4 Zoomers.
Yeah, and you see he had his bottle coming out on the crow, so just playing a little bit too low. He pumped his Fairy Fire too, so just didn't calculate his damage. Might take in a tower shot as well. He was really far up on Gunner's Hill, but that's still something you really don't want to give away, because even though net worth doesn't really shift that much, it's more that Gunner is going to pull ahead in levels, and that's where a super level Tiny can make much easier rotations than one that you're putting on the ropes. So Sooth can't let that happen again. If we see him go down for a second time here, there's something truly going wrong for him.
Yeah, we did see him DCing a little bit earlier on, so there might be something at play there as, oh my god, Gunner very nearly takes him down again, and I don't know if you want to go back in for that. That's everything he had at his disposal, and that time around the Storm was able to survive, but that's the burst damage coming into play. If not for that bottle charge, well, Gunner may have been able to pick up another one, so Seuss is living life on the edge right now. He's at least able to survive that time. He'll get the bottle refill there thanks to the bounty rune, but still not sure that's really going to be enough to make him comfortable. And you see him already sort of starting his way back towards the base. So Gunner, between the kill and the sort of near miss on the second attempt, he's kind of taking a little bit of control in this middle lane.
Yeah, and that's where the levels become a much bigger problem, and something that, even though I don't think they were playing around it, there is no real answer. You have IO Hoodwinked. You're not really able to make that play where you can rotate your supports to the mid lane and suddenly you're winning on the Storm Spirit. Aside from a bottle refill, both the supports are quite bad at actually making that mid rotation, so it's really just up to Seuss to pull this back.
And meanwhile, up in the top lane, Sexy Fat moving in with Heiko. They do manage to get the Bushwhack onto Envy, but I don't know if they're going to have the damage to really do much more than that. They're trying for the body blocks, but Envy really not going to get locked up for too long. And that play goes down with Husky not even in the lane. So, I don't know. This duo has a little bit of aggressive potential, but not sure it's enough for the kill, although they are chasing now. Envy very close. Husky, though, comes back in. Big stun out there, buying time for Envy to pop the salve. And now, do they want to turn? Can they turn? Envy doesn't have much mana to work with here, and another Bushwhack is really going to lock him down. So I'm not sure if this is going to turn into much of anything, but Sexy Fat continuing to hang around. He's got 2 points up in the void, so he was willing to stick around and see what developed, but doesn't look like there's much more to work with.
Ooh. Nice cancel from Husky. Husky is playing this top lane really well with the little plays, just getting the body blocks, making the opponent's tank tower a lot of these times. And it is nighttime, so they do need to be a little bit more scared here, especially Envy, who got his salve canceled at the same time by Heiko. But now I think we're just going to see some couriers bring out some more regen. I think there's 4 couriers coming to the top lane right now. They still have to be careful. Even though you're a nighttime Night Stalker, if you get slowed up by both the axes and the Ignite, you are just going to die. And Envy's gone for 2 points in Rage as well, so if Farouk goes down, he is just going to get chained up.
Yeah, he is going to have that to work with, that little bit of an extra chance, and more situations here where the Night Stalker is going to have to be careful. In fact, Sexy Fat is on his way all the way back to the base, so he's going to play it safe here and not get himself caught out. Meanwhile, the lane we really haven't talked about much at all, ET. Mandy down bot on this sniper. He's been largely kind of left alone. This duo of Coddle and Earthshaker, they certainly have a lot of mana at their disposal, but haven't seen too much aggression from them to this point.
Yeah, and it is exactly what it's going to be. It is really difficult for them to make plays, but...
Is he going to be okay? No, he is not. The shrapnel's just getting spammed.
Yeah, you step out for a little bit long. Duster identified that there was no Z-Freak. They went on the stack timing there, where Z-Freak was still playing in his triangle, so I don't think he could have done much for his Earthshaker there, aside from maybe scare them a little bit with the Illuminate spam, but... That's where Sniper, as long as Duster does a really good job, and he has this far of scouting out where the Coddle actually is, they don't have enough damage to take him out, but that's where Gunnar with an Invis Rune.
There's the Ava into the toss. There's the Illuminate to follow it up, and Moo did throw the Fissure in there. I don't think that connected in time. I believe it's just going to be Z-Freak grabbing the kill, but you mentioned it. We were talking about that middle lane. Gunner's going to get the levels that little bit earlier. He's about 7 3/4. The Storm is actually not that far behind, but the point still stands. Gunnar was able to make those rotations, get the runes, and start making moves there, and taking out the Sniper, really one of, if not the sort of most important target right now, because that Sniper was looking pretty impressive to this point. Still sitting second overall in terms of the net worth, but Gunnar's able to knock him down a peg.
Yeah, and it's a really clean rotation from Gunnar. When he makes that play, he makes it knowing that the opponent's mid lane ward is most likely expiring, so they were none the wiser on that Invis Rune, and even less about him actually leaving the lane, and they gotta save their stun top. He just gets the TP out. You gotta save one.
Yeah. Went in with both the Bushwhack there and the Void, and yeah, as you said, gotta hold on to at least one. I know you want that sort of damage and extra lockdown right off the bat, but it's an Ogre. He's not going anywhere, really, unless he can TP away. And speaking of, Gunner's going for it. There's going to be the Ava into the toss. Duster may get picked off this time as well, but the Illuminate actually doesn't hit onto either, but there's going to be that Fissure coming in. Mandy dropping low. Duster's trying to heal him up as best as he can, but there's only so much he can do right now. There is no relocate, and Gunnar just waits out the Ava for a second time. Throws it in for the double, but now here comes Zeus looking for revenge. Wants in onto Z-Freak, needs a little bit more damage. Will be able to get it, and now trying to dish out some onto Gunnar as well, but there's going to be the toss coming in. But Gunnar really doesn't have too much to work with here. The Avalanche will come through, but look at the reinforcements. Husky and Heiko both making their way over, but Husky is the one who gets stunned up, and now the Storm zips in. He's going to look for this kill onto the Ogre. Husky trying to hold his ground, did pop the stick charges. That's actually going to be enough to keep him alive. Meanwhile, the Ignite connecting onto the Hoodwink, that's going to set up for the Fissure into the Ava toss, and Gunnar walks away with one extra kill there. That honestly goes pretty damn well for 4 Zoomers. You do have to sacrifice Z-Freak, but Gunnar got both of the kills down bot, and then that extra one onto the Hoodwink. He's sitting at 4-0.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened there with Suits. He uphill missed on his last right click there on Husky. I don't know if he had enough damage from the overload, but that was really bizarre. But at the end of the day, you waste the Arcane Rune on the Storm Spirit. You minimize his plays. Gunnar really wasn't under any threat there, and again, you get to run towards this blink timing. He's got a 9-minute blink dagger that gets hand delivered by Husky with the bottle refill. If you're not careful on this storm or on this sniper in the bottom lane, they're just keep on allowing this play to happen. And unfortunately for them, Sexy Fat is making a cool Dark Ascension play top to kill Eternal Enemy's Courier, but here's Gunnar.
Quick jump in onto Heiko, taking him down, and now Mandy's all alone, and there's really no way for him to get out of here. He's going to try for the shrapnels because he has no other choice, but there's going to be the Fissure to stun him up, and Gunnar gets another double kill down bot. He is just feasting on this section of the map, and this is where things get so concerning if you're FG. You are the squad who wanted to be aggressive. You have the Storm, you have the Night Stalker, and all of a sudden
Top.
Gunnar is just flipping that script on its head as he gets the kill onto Sexy Fat. The man, oh my god, he can't be stopped right now. Triple kill, as apparently there was enough time, or not enough time in between for that to reset. So 8 kills on the board for 4 Zoomers. Gunnar has been involved in every single one of them and has 7 of them directly as Moo has get himself picked off. So Zeus is able to make some sort of return play. That's what they're going to need on the FG side because, I mean, Gunnar is getting out of control. His net worth is kind of skyrocketing right now. You see him already about 800 or 900 ahead of that Storm. So Zeus has got to try something. He's able to find a couple of pickoffs there. You see him working his way towards the Orchid. Once he picks that up, he is going to have a lot of aggressive capabilities, but ET, it's not a 9-minute blink dagger. Gunnar is just going to be making counterplays the whole time.
Yep, and you have to be so careful on Sexy Fat. They know he used Dark Ascension. They know that it's daytime Night Stalker here sitting in the trees, and they're popping on him. Well,
they're gonna spot him. There it is. Toss comes out. Husky's there for the follow-up stun. The silence did come through first, but it's just not going to matter. And Envy even snipes it out there with the whirling axes from range. So, well, that goes pretty much perfectly. You get a free kill into the hands of your Troll Warlord. Now you're set up for a potential plan to the tower, but here comes Suits. All right. Still looking for those counter maneuvers. Taking down Husky. They're going to push in to try and defend this tower. And at this point, for Zoomers, I don't think they're willing to take this fight. These 2 heroes in particular under the tower, still a little bit risky for them. So they do back off, but these are the kind of plays. Gunnar is setting up for a kill onto the Night Stalker. The Storm Spirit does find a return kill, but it's onto the supports rather than a core. So overall, still kind of feels like the pace is favoring the 4 Zoomer side in terms of these trade-offs.
Yeah, and now they get to flip the map. Troll TP's bottom. They're going to look for that bottom tower. As soon as they get it, they can start playing in their opponent's jungle even more. It's just, they have to get this bottom tower, and then the fight gets a lot more simple for them. But this has been a lot of really good space for Moo, as a matter of fact. Envy's been tanking the lane a little bit for a long time top there, and he feels safe because it is a daytime Night Stalker, but this also means that you're really fat on this Earthshaker, and they're jumping mid, but he got the Ava off.
Yeah. Zeus still going to give it a go, but there's going to be the ult out from Moo. It's not enough to prevent the sniper from getting the kill, though, as the Assassinate does come through, but they sacrifice Zeus for that one. To be honest, getting Gunnar there, probably more important. Net worth-wise, they will come out ahead, but it wasn't quite as clean as they needed it to be. The Storm really would have loved to get in, start the fight, and get out, but you're just going to have to take what you can get right now as FG do find that kill, and while that was going down, Sexy Fat had pushed up the creep wave to the tier 1 tower. He's not going to be able to put too much serious damage on it, but at least you're now starting to see FG maybe get into a little bit more of a rhythm here, despite the early struggles.
Yeah, when you trade your mid laners like that, nothing really happens after the fact. You just get to split off and farm the map, and it's actually more important that FG made that play, because that was, again, downtime where Sexy Fat is no longer a hero. He has to bide his time without the Dark Ascension, and they could go for a dive on Z-Freak top, but they want a little bit more knowledge before they get into that type of engagement. But with those little plays, you're buying time. It's only a minute left, and whenever it's a minute left until nighttime, we always see teams are so good at smoking up with the Night Stalker, making that play into the Dark Ascension, and they're setting up their lanes really nicely. Once you put this Hoodwink in the bottom lane, if they go for a crazy dive on the 4 Zoomer side, we might see some heavy rotations after the kill top, and ooh, they whiff.
Nice.
They whiffed on Z-Freak, so they got to be really careful with this bottom lane, how they want to deal with this, because they know where Heiko is.
TP timing from Mikado is perfect. Meanwhile, there's Gunnar for the toss back. And yeah, Heiko, well, only so much he can do against that many heroes without support coming in. You do see the TPs, though.
Yeah,
it's an interesting
relocated. Okay, now they go on the 4 top.
They're trying for Z-Freak, but here comes Moo TPing in. They do have the Troll in that fight as well, so they're getting down some bashes. Avatos now comes in. And Sexy Fat and Duster will both be taken down. That goes so poorly. I'm not sure if 4 Zoomers noticed that the relocate was happening, but once they do, they set up for the fight, and FG, I think they just got their wires crossed a little bit on that play, and it does end up costing them.
Yeah, and they're the global strap. They're the ones that should be able to make these engagements happen, but that's where the Tiny forces you to play in a very different way. If Heiko doesn't go down bottom, he gets to sit behind his tower, wait for the troll to approach, then you get a team fight bottom. You get the engagement that you want, and you get to play during Dark Ascension, but instead, four Zoomers completely outplay you. They get to go top, they force you into a terrible engagement when Dark Ascension is just cooling down, and you are out of tools, more or less. That's why Suits didn't even try to show up to that fight. He was just like, no, guys, it's too bad of an engagement, and we can't really see FG fall behind very more. I think that while you have been buying a lot of space for your sniper, you still need to have these plays being made, and even Z-Freak there only TP'd back to the tier 2, so he was immediately able to clear out the mid, or clear out that top lane. So this tower is still alive. It just feels like FG aren't able to get any objectives right now.
Yeah, and Storm is not exactly known as a prolific tower-taking hero by any means. So, not a whole lot that he and Duster can do here outside of just supporting the creep wave, but that creep wave does arrive, and with the siege creep, this tower should go down now. Are able to bring it down. That's going to refresh the glyph for 4 Zoomers, but nobody's coming over here to defend that one. So, that's a nice little bit of gold, and it's just about enough here for the Storm to close in on that Orchid, and well, maybe that's the turning point for them. We've been seeing Suits making some pretty strong plays so far. 3 2-1s, maybe not quite as strong compared to what Gunnar has on the other side, but he's still been attempting to make these plays, which is exactly what we've sort of been saying that FG need. But over on the other side of things, I mean, you've still got Gunnar in a fantastic position with the Echo Saber. Mu was able to get that Aghanim Scepter up and running. Envy is now just massively farming with that Battle Fury, quickly trying to close the gap between himself and the Sniper. So, I mean, the Orchid is big, but is it going to be big enough right now? And will he actually be able to find the targets? He needs to try and find some heroes solo, but right now you see 4 Zoomers heroes kind of hanging out bot. They're just grouping up looking for a tower of their own.
Yeah, unfortunately they are behind the exchange. That was the one benefit for FG with that top engagement is you pulled 4 Zoomers out of bottom. Everyone had to leave, so this mid tower is going to be forfeit unless they want to flood immediately 4 TPs here. It's just going to be a free tower, and with them ahead of the exchange, if FG really want to, they could just march towards this top tier 2 and continue the trades where I don't think 4 Zoomers want to give them that fight, and that's where this defensive vision is so nice. Unfortunately, it is going to get dewarded, but you immediately know where your opponents are. I don't think you're too upset with that at all. But that's how 4 Zoomers now need to wonder when do they decide to get into the fight, because we haven't seen it happen just yet, but they haven't had to deal with Dark Ascension. Dark Ascension is going to be a massive problem for their initiators. That's where we might see heroes like the Earthshaker have to crawl into a lot of these fights, and why the Ags is definitely going to feel a little bit riskier because of that crippling fear, but the initiations still need to come, and that's also where we haven't seen the Sniper in any of these team fights yet, where Mandy's just been solely solely focusing on farming. And that's where he's also getting this BKB up, which is a massive problem for 4 Zoomers. If they can't get on top of him and kill him with their magic burst, he's going to get out. That's what their lineup is meant to do. They're meant to peel off the Sniper.
Yeah, they're going to be able to protect him throughout nearly the entirety of the fight. 4 Zoomers cores, meanwhile, also focusing on those BKBs. All 3 of them having that magic immunity queued up. So if they can finish those, all of a sudden, your Night Stalker, your Storm Spirit, your Hoodwink all become quite a bit less intimidating. You do still have to deal with the physical damage out from that Sniper, though, so it's not a perfect solution, but it is going to work for quite a few of their problems. Meanwhile, Sexy Fat, well, he grabbed himself a Haste Rune. Not really sure where he can go right now with that. They don't have too much confirmed vision on the 4 Zoomer side. I'm pretty sure they can guess where their opponents are right now, but no real opportunity for that Night Stalker to make a move, but now he's going to regroup with his team, and this is going to lead into the 4-man smoke. They're going to start TPing heroes down bot. They do have the relocate up and running, so they just need to spot a target. But you see 4 Zoomers, they're pulling back. They went for a smoke play of their own, and actually their smoke play might work out a little bit better because they're going to potentially catch Sexy Fat and Duster split from the rest of the squad. They're going to make the jump in, looking for Duster first, trying to isolate him from that Night Stalker. They have done exactly that. Now Sexy Fat, he's not taking a lot of damage, but he doesn't have a whole lot of aggressive capabilities right now, but here comes the Storm jumping in. There's going to be the Sharpshooter hit coming out as well, though. Actually hitting onto Gunnar. It's Mu who goes down first, but Gunnar is still getting chased down. Zeus wants in onto him, and there's no one here to help him, so this Tiny is eventually going to be taken down, but while that happened, Envy just kept on chasing after the primary target. They got in onto the Sniper. They were able to take him down. Now they want Sexy Fat as well. They're going to slow him down with the Solar Bind. That should be enough for the kill. This fight has gotten very complicated. 2 dead on each side. But Zeus is still going. He's going to zip his way forward to get the silence down onto that troll, but instead, yeah, they're going to go for Husky. Much easier kill. They get that extra stun in from Heiko, and they're able to swing that one in their favor 3-2. But, well, it's still unfortunate to lose Mandy as well as your Night Stalker, but at least they're able to sort of clean that one up, and they got a kill onto Gunner. Very important for them. And you see, based on the net worth, they take home a little bit over twice the amount that their opponents got.
Yeah, and Four Zoomers did a really good job of kiting back to their vision. I don't think they get that sight on the sniper nearly as easily if that fight is just a little bit higher. And okay, Moo gets a nice cheeky kill on Heiko bottom, but that was very simply Moo getting caught off guard by the Orchid reveal from Suits. He had done a really good job of hiding it until that point, and the Shaker unfortunately has to play versus so many silences in this game. That's where Moo is doing a really smart decision here. Immediately get the BKB, don't even mess with it. If an Echo goes off in that fight, I think you immediately lose both the Night Stalker and the IO there, but instead it definitely got kited out a little bit long. Unfortunately, though, because they kited back into that vision, Mandy did get immediately scouted out by the troll, and Envy just walked on top of him. And that is the worst case scenario for you. Mandy definitely needs to be a little bit more aware of that vision. Otherwise, he cannot do a 1v1 fight versus Troll. If Troll's on top of him, he loses every single time. Maybe once you get the shard, I could see some more kite stuff coming out from him, but he's still waiting for a few of those save tools from his own.
C4 Zoomers immediately looking for another fight. They've smoked up here, and if they could get Duster, that would be a big kill to start things off, but they actually go right past him. Yeah, they've got the burst damage to get through the sniper before any sort of relocate play could come in, and they are going to get both of those kills. Envy's being a little cheeky there. Cool. The admin said no all chatting other than GG and GLHF, and Envy decides to take that one quite literally, but...
What? This is what they're so good at. As soon as they get 1 or 2 picks, immediately into the objective. There's no way for FG to actually do anything about this, and while the game is still very even, it is going to be a free Aegis now onto what I can only imagine is going to be your Troll Warlord. He will be the one to pick it up, but that's where FG are constantly on a timer. It's something that you can always play around when you do have this Night Stalker, but you are forced to play in these 2 to 3 minute bursts.
Husky.
Yeah,
well,
but...
Yeah, the sacrifice comes in, but if he sets up for the trade, yeah, that's more than worth it. Zeus gets taken down, so Husky knows what he's about. I have never seen a man just so enthusiastically charge into his own death, but his teammates were coming up behind him. Even if I die, we're going to trade out for the Storm Spirit, so he will make that play happen, and now... Well, now where else do they go? That's going to be the question. You see Envy moving into that west side jungle, trying to steal some of this farm, but I want to be a little bit careful. Heiko could spot him out, but then if they wanted to do anything about it, you still have to bring multiple heroes over, and you got to get through 2 lives on that Troll Warlord. So Envy, he's not exactly gank-proof right now. It's just so complicated that I don't think FG are really going to want to try it.
Yeah, and I think there, bottom, you very simply see that you jump without knowing where at least 2 or 3 heroes are on the 4 Zoomer side, and then you get punished for it. What should be a very dead Ogre is now a very dead Storm Spirit, and that's where FG, they need to be a little bit more cautious here because they are still playing on the Night Stalker timing. If they are able to make some big plays with their next item timing, that being both the BKBs finished up, it's going to feel very nice for them, but Heiko, don't even hate the play. He's just trying to make space for his boys. He knows that he needs to get as much as he can out of his 2 cores here because we are literally waiting for just that. Nighttime, double BKB, and I can definitely see FG looking for a fight, but until then, they are always retreating and always playing by themselves. They just need to get as much out of the map as possible.
Yeah, and you see net worth and experience graphs here. They are starting to fall a little bit further behind, but this is more than recoverable if the sniper can hit that mark, if Sexy Fat can sort of get that timing. 5k is not exactly massive or insurmountable, so just waiting on that timing, and 4 Zoomers kind of recognizing that, continuing to try and keep this aggression up. They know we don't want to let the sniper just farm his way towards that next major pickup, but they're moving into the south side jungle right now, but they're not exactly going to run directly into enemies, but now if they do so, it's going to be by design on the FG side. That's a 5-man smoke looking to push for Well, right now it looks like maybe Gunner would be the best target for them if they can sneak up on him.
He's got BKB coming out on the Crow. This would be a perfect kill for him.
Starting to split,
Yeah,
though.
the shrapnel, it gives it away. So he gets to walk out and walk towards his BKB, which he gets recalled into another good play. Okay, there's going to be a clash.
Coming. Here's the move from 4Zoomers into that south side jungle, and this has to be a fight. They can't get this close and not end up fighting as Duster.
No.
He gets, oh man, he just gets barely clipped by that Fissure. Not dead yet, but the Illuminate does come in from Z-Freak. So Duster will be taken down. He's immediately going to buy back, though, trying to get himself really back into the engagement as quickly as possible. But look at 4Zoomers. They reload, or not relocate, they regroup, they push back in when Sexy Fat goes that little bit too far forward, and now FG are starting to lose cohesion here. They're trying to regroup themselves under their own tower, but that leaves Seuss in kind of no man's land a little bit here while his teammates are still getting pushed, and that's actually going to force Mandy to pop the BKB, and they'll relocate him out. So they're not taking any chances, just looking to get themselves as far away from this fight now as possible. You see Seuss clearing out as well, so that really was not what they wanted. It may not be over. Heiko's still getting hit up on. If Envy can get something... Oh, there it is. The Fissure from Moo gonna land instead. They go for Duster first. That's a dieback now from the IO, and this Hoodwink may still be in some trouble. Envy goes in for the slow. Moo's gonna connect with the Fissure again, and they will be able to finish off that kill. Now Seuss zips in, but he's very low on mana. Don't know if he really wants this going into all 5, and he is gonna back off. Moo does not tick down to the burn. And 4Zoomers, they really get everything that they wanted out of that fight.
Yeah, Seuss just rushed the play a little bit too much there. If that jump hits, I think he's maybe able to take down Moo, but that's where Gunner was also waiting. If there was a hard commit, the Tiny would have been immediately there to kill him off. But fortunately for FG, they do usurp a lot of the objectives that 4Zoomers could have taken immediately. Seuss did a good job breaking away for the wave. Otherwise, this bottom tier 2 tower is dead. This mid tower is most likely very next up on the table. But that's where 4Zoomers are also doing a really good job of kiting back to their vision. They start these fights that FG wants to take, and then they de-ward you, take the high ground vision, they take both of your spots, and then suddenly FG, the team that should have the vision advantage in these engagements, is playing blind. And
Moo, is he going to pop the ult? Yes, he is. They're keeping Seuss locked down. Do they have the damage? No, they don't. BKB comes out from the storm, and now he's actually going to zip in, looking for this engagement. They're trying to bring down Husky first. Meanwhile, the bushwhack actually keeps Gunner locked in place as he didn't pop his BKB. So Husky gets pulled away, taken down. Gunner is sort of preoccupied, so he can't immediately make a counter play. But now he does have the BKB if there's a secondary engagement, but I'm not sure there's going to be one. You do see FG starting to maybe snake their way around here to the west, but are they looking for the wraparound? It appears so. Sexy Fat has the Ascension still, but without the BKB, it's going to get a little complicated. But they're keeping their eyes open. If 4Zoomers step out of line, they could make a quick jump in, but doesn't look like 4Zoomers are really going to take that bait at the moment.
no, I don't think it'll happen, but still, you're able to get kills, you're able to bind your time a little bit, and if FG can play the waiting game, that's where it does feel like they can take some very decisive wins, and that's where now that the Aegis is out of the hands of Eternal Envy, has he been able to get enough items? He's still waiting for that Basher, he's still waiting what I can only imagine is going to be an item like the Swift Blink. We still need to see Envy getting on top of this sniper. If he can do it successfully every single time, it's going to be a one-team fight for 4Zoomers. As soon as that aspect of the fight fails, the game gets exponentially harder for them. That's where after BKBs, again, you still have this problem where the Tiny and the Earthshaker are huge targets that Mandy very simply can just shoot. It is very easy for him to sit back. Once he knows that the Blink Daggers are off of the table, he just gets to do whatever he wants. That's where Moo is definitely a more key player, I think, in getting on top of him. Unfortunately, when he went on the mid, it was just a little bit too rushed. I think if Gunner is a half step closer, then they get that kill onto the Storm Spirit, and then most likely the tier 2 to follow it up. But still, both sides are incredibly close right now. Even though it's a 9k gold lead for 4Zoomers, they still have quite a few hurdles to overcome here. Otherwise, I can definitely see FG completely flipping the script.
Yeah, you see Mandy on this sniper. Finished off the Shadow Blade. He's working his way towards the Silver Edge. A Sexy Fat gets blown up. Sharpshooter. I mean, it's there. It does damage, but not nearly enough. And now the Fissure actually caught Heiko out. Good play with the Force, though, trying to get him away. But now Seuss is going to zip in. They're looking for Gunner. Is there any save here at all? Oh, there is a BKB, so Gunner's going to try to get away. He's absorbing a lot of that damage right now, and I'm not really sure if they're going to be able to get this. Sexy Fat, though, he bought back, and he's not able to close the gap in time. Needs that Blink Dagger. If he could have gotten in onto the Tiny, maybe they could have found that kill, but without it, I suppose that buyback prevents a secondary fight from breaking out, but that's kind of counterintuitive to what FG wanted.
Yeah, and now, Mandy, you got to be so careful here. Moo is looking for the engagement after the fact. They know there's no Dark
Fissure
Ascension.
comes out onto 2! Fissure into the not the epicenter, the Echo Slam, and that's just gonna blow them up. That was perfectly aligned for Moo. Couldn't have really drawn it up any better than that, and for Mandy and Sexy Fat, unfortunately, I mean, they have this vision down here, it's just a little bit too late. By the time Moo's in position, they're already sort of caught. And that's going to kind of shut it down a little bit for them. Those death timers, about 50 seconds for each, and now your Night Stalker's buyback looks even worse, and you are definitively now trapped in a bit of a defensive position.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they lost the 2 most important targets, and even more unfortunate for them, Sexy Fat is no longer going to be able to have a game. He is the lowest net worth core in the game. He is behind his Hoodwink at this point, and for Zoomers are just so much net worth now. It is going to get to that critical mass point where if they have every item in the world and the next Aegis, this game could get really sad really quickly for FG. Where FG, they just need to find some of these engagements. Next nighttime is going to be so important. Roche is going to respawn in 2 minutes, which is slightly unfortunate for them, but that's where 4 Zoomers have done an incredible job of playing around this Night Stalker. They've done such a good job when it comes to, oh, they don't have Dark Ascension. If we have a high ground ward, then we win. It's simple as that. If we take the fight during daytime, then we get to smoke off cooldown. They've used, I think, 5 smokes in the game, and they've all been so well timed. They're always able to find something out of it, where FG, who are the global lineup, there's been very few situations where the Storm Spirit of the Hoodwink set up in the side lanes, they find a relocate play, they bring in the sniper, and they're trying for it, but that's where 4 Zoomers are never giving them an opening. They've played a very careful game, but it's just always working out for them.
It just feels like their maneuvering is so good here. And now Husky wanted to point it out before. He's got himself the shard, so that fire shield honestly could matter for the right clicks of the sniper, for some of the initiation from the Storm and the Night Stalker. A lot of that damage is just not going to really apply initially, and if you take away some of that burst from this lineup, then you are going to be almost entirely reliant on that sniper to just sort of carry the entirety of the weight for you. And Mandy at a certain point can do it, but I don't know if that point is right now looking at his itemization. They are absolutely going to need to buy more time for him, but well, you see them right now, they're sort of locked into maybe a fourth of the map just outside of their base, so it's not going to be easy for them as the Assassinate just gets sort of fired through there, but that's not really going to do a whole lot. Now with Roche back up in 10 seconds, you see Z-Freak just going to sit there and scout it out, basically.
Yeah, 3 seconds, and then this is a fight that FG are going to feel like they have to take, but here we go. They smoke on the Roche timer, and here we go. Dark Ascension ends, they have to leave. They have to take a successful fight in that timing, and Zoomers know that they're posturing.
Falling back, holding the high ground. Not going to get too crazy right now, but Shrapnel did scout out Roshan, so I mean, they already kind of knew, but now they know for sure. They know that 4 Zoomers aren't in there at the moment, so they can rest a little bit easy. Unfortunately, that does mean the smoke is largely going to dissipate with no major success, but yeah, if you're looking for silver linings, you prevent that Roche attempt. That's big in and of itself. The fact that FG now even have an opportunity to try and contest this is their best shot of trying to make some sort of positive play happen. But you see 4 Zoomers now trying to sort of push and prod around the edges, taking out the creep waves, trying to get themselves over into that west side jungle, now taking out some of that vision as well. So this is a position FG. This may not be the fight they want, but if they give up this ground, they may be losing control of the pit entirely. So do they hold here? They're sort of falling back. They're working around this vision up on the eye spot, but again, that means 4 Zoomers can just move in, and if Envy actually commits for this with the maxed out fervor, they could get through it fairly quickly, and that's something FG will have to keep in the back of their minds. Once the Roche attempt starts, their window is going to be incredibly narrow.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit surprised that 4 Zoomers aren't pushing the envelope a little bit more here. You know that there's a finite amount of nighttime that the Night Stalker can play around, not to mention that Sexy Fat isn't even level 18. It's not even a level 3 Dark Ascension. It just is so unfortunate for him. But you're able to walk towards nighttime, so now FG has a lot more time to deal with when it comes to delaying this game, where I guess 4 Zoomers are valuing just waiting, but on the Arcane Rune.
Wow, that's a... Wow, okay. I don't know about that one. He zips all the way in, quickly taken down. Duster will fall as well. There is going to be a buyback out from the Storm, but the IO doesn't have the money for his, so he is still down for the count. Oh god, Heiko now taken down as well. Sexy Fat goes for the BKB, but he immediately gets bashed up, and that is really just straight up horrible. I mean, he wanted the rune there on the Storm, but did not anticipate, didn't have the vision on the other side, more importantly, and he gets punished for it. His team immediately feels the need to try and sort of rush in to help him after the buyback, and it just all falls apart.
Yep, and for the second or third time there, they take the engagement during daytime. Suits definitely got greedy there on the Arcane Rune, but it's Gunnar and Moo who are always there to find those punishes, and he doesn't want to pop BKB unless he knows that he's going to be stunned, and that's where Moo has never let himself be shown. He has been hiding on the map so fantastically, and that's where you lose your opportunity. You die, you have to buy back, you try to get waves out. Now it's nighttime after the Roche is already taken. That small timing where FG were able to take a little bit of control off the map is now more or less gone. This is going to be 4 Zoomers playing in all 3 lanes, and FG really struggling to find those plays now. You have to wait, I think, for this Night Stalker to have his Blink Dagger. Maybe once you have that, you can get something. They're relocating to push out waves, but Moo's already set up.
And they're going to catch out Duster, and Duster is dead.
Super dead.
That's, oh man, just nothing going right here for FG. We were talking about their lineup earlier in the game, sort of having all these potential strong points to work with, but every potential benefit has been largely sort of dealt with by the 4 Zoomers side. They took away that aggression from Suits as well as Sexy Fat. They haven't shut the sniper down by any means, but they've at least sort of kept him contained. 3rd highest net worth in the game, and I'm not really sure right now if Mandy is enough to sort of turn these teamfights by himself, so 4 Zoomers neutralizing a lot of what would have made the FG lineup so dangerous against them, and now Z-Freak has got eyes on Heiko. Do they want to make this play? I think instead they're looking for the core kill. Sexy Fat and Seuss are alone up in the top lane, but not really sure they can move in onto them in time. Z-Freak is looking, though. Envy is here as well. He just, I believe, got pulled in, and if they could spot out this Storm, that would be big. Moo. Moo? Okay, no, he still knows he's there. Gets the flyover. There's going to be the ult drop down by him as well, and you see Seuss pinging that out. There is no ward there. That was just Moo sort of getting the vision onto him with that passover play, and that's the Storm dead for 100. He bought back, I believe, yeah, around that Roche fight previously, so he is down for quite some time, and 4 Zoomers may have found their opening.
Yeah, Moo is just way too good, and now, very simply, they get to take all of this control and put a lot of pressure on you. Maybe Envy sticks around to cut the top wave again, or they could go right now, and it is the power of Sniper High Ground. Are you actually going to be able to hold this? But,
oh my God, the fissure, they're directly in, and Mandy's dead. He's gone. There's no buyback available. Sexy Fat dead as well.
Yeah,
and that's
GG.
just going to be GG. Straight up. 4 Zoomers. They just march their way in. They get the victory. And honestly, this should not have been one-sided as it ended up being in the draft. We were sort of mentioning it looked like 4G had put, or FG, excuse me, had put something together that was going to work for them. But it just falls incredibly flat in the face of 4 Zoomers onslaught.
Yeah, and it was really clean from 4 Zoomers. You look at the KDs on all of their cores, even on Z-Freak, and there was very few deaths there on their key heroes. All of those deaths were maybe in the 10 to 15 minute range where FG was able to get some plays going with their Storm Spirit. But I think the real failure on FG's side is that they weren't ever able to set up in those lanes. 4 Zoomers was always running at them. Gunnar did such a good job at stopping any early aggression coming out from their heroes, and when Tiny has that good of a game, it forces everyone else in your team to play differently. It makes your baiting plays where you stick a 4 position in the bottom lane to fight a huge team fight that you're gonna win because you TP down there with Relocate and Dark Ascension. There was never an engagement where they could get all 5 heroes on top of 4 Zoomers who were caught off guard. 4 Zoomers setups were fantastic. Their vision was great. And another aspect of it, every single time they wanted to play in those side lanes, they were recalling heroes. They were playing 90% of the map, where FG were really only ever getting enough farm on one hero. And I think that is the true sort of drawback of FG's lineup. They're playing a global strategy that is getting out-farmed by a hero that is playing alone on the other side, and you're not finding that hero by themselves. if you're able to find that one pickoff consistently, then the game looks very different. It looks like four Zoomers are now 5 heroes that have to stay together consistently, and you're the more independent fellows. But in this game, FG were forced into every single 5-on-5-on-5 engagement that four Zoomers just wiped the board with them.
Yeah, just incredible play from four Zoomers. And FG, I mean, to a certain extent, they kind of fall into the trap. And I think for game number 2, Sexy Fat in particular has to be put on someone with maybe a little bit more, or the ability to do more with less. You see his net worth, it was unbelievably low, 0 and 9 there, so he needed some of those item timings to come into play for him. When they didn't, there was really just nothing more that he could do. So would like to see FG maybe get something a little bit simpler that can work with less money and still have an impact.
Yeah, something like the Sand King, something like a simple Mars, something like that. I hate seeing the Night Stalker pick up in games that it's supposed to be good, and then it just always falls short. It's a sad story for him, but always game 2.
Yeah, we'll see what game 2 has in store, though. We're going to be moving into that second match in just a little bit. I think there might be an update, according to some of the folks in the lobby, so that may take a little bit of extra time, but we shall see in just a few moments whether four Zoomers will get that 2-0 sweep to advance, or if FG can fight their way back into this and try and take us to a full 3 games. So stick around. We'll be back with game 2 in just a few minutes.